She was going to run Kadevin Jamawi Kwapkum, Yamavan Indigenous Costs, Dog and Indian Dog in the Go. That's a brief introduction of myself. My name is Stephen. I am from the community of South Bay. My Anishinaabe name is King Bird. That's my Anishinaabe name translates to. And I grew up in the community of what's now called South Bay, but back then it was called Dorgunning. So how I like to generally start with my own little thing is I like to learn all your names. And don't worry if I don't remember them, I'm getting into my 60s, so I get forgetful. So keep them.
Yeah.
Michaela. Annie.
Janessa.
Annie. Keep them.
Sean Dishnikas.
What?
Sean Dishnikas.
Sean, oh, Annie. Kindash.
Jake Maniswabi.
Jig Mendobe.
Nodin. You forgot Nodin.
Jig Mendobe. Kindash.
Hunter.
Andre. Kindash.
Declan.
Ringa.
Declan.
Declan. Okay. Reminds me of a movie I watched once. Kindash.
Jaden.
Jaden.
Yes.
Kindash.
Allison.
Honey.
Honey.
Okay, as I described earlier, when Allison asked me what my roots were, I have, as I said earlier, I was very very fortunate to grow up with two parents who did not speak any English. I was raised to speak Anishinaabe all my life. I lost my father when I was 5 years old. He died from a kidney infection. He died when I was 5. I have vague memories of him. I do have memories of him, but they're not as strong. So my mother spent the rest of her life raising me as her favorite son. That's the only reason I call it I'm her favorite son, because I'm her only child. And I grew up in the community of South Bay. I went to school at the age of 7. And as I say, I was very fortunate in my life to grow up with speaking mostly Anishinaabe language, because all the guys I played with they were half a mile down the road that way. We all spoke Anishinaabe, all us kids. We'd go to school and speak English, but once we got home, we were back to being good Anishinaabe boys again. And we learned to play in the forest. We made up our own games, we made up our own toys sometimes, and we had fun doing that. And I think that's one of the things why I love being in the forest nowadays. But I guess one of the reasons I think I'm very fortunate the way I grew up is most of you guys probably don't know the history of your families. I was fortunate to grow up with being taught my own history, my own ancestry, as they call it. I know who my parents are, my grandparents, my great-grandparents. I know I can trace them right to about 1765, all my ancestors. Not all of them, but most of them. And because I was taught to know who my relations are, that's how I learned my relations through my mother. And I know all my relations in Mi'kwankum. I'm probably related to every one of you guys here. If you give me your names and give me the names of your grandparents or great-grandparents, I could probably figure out who you are right there. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. But that's a little bit about myself. I've learned a lot of history growing up. I learned a lot of Anishinaabe growing up, and I learned a lot of stories growing up. And some from our own community of Mi'kwankum, some are what Allison described as Nanabush stories. So I'm going to tell a story, one or two, and I always encourage my participants to ask questions. I do this especially with when I do history and genealogy. I would like, I encourage all the students to, when I go to the high school, to ask me questions. I'll do the best I can to answer. But remember earlier when Allison talked about this animal? Remember what animal she was talking about?
The bear.
The bear.
Quoi?
Makwa.
Quoi? Quoi?
Mm.
Yeah, you could go, quoi?
Kwa.
Quoi?
Makwa. Makwa.
Quoi?
Makwa. Makwa. Makwa.
Some people, that's their clan. I'm going to tell you something about quoi. I'm going to ask you a real gross story. Ask you something though. Have you, any of you, seen a gutted bear? Like a dead bear?
No.
Anybody?
No.
One that's been skinned and gutted?
No.
Well, you're very fortunate. Growing up, I was told never eat bear meat, and some people will not eat bear meat because that's their clan, and that's their belief. That's fine. I was taught to believe that not to eat bear meat, but I did break my mom's rules one time. I did eat bear meat. It's actually very tasty. I liked it, but I was given a scolding afterwards when I told my mom I ate some bear meat. The reason we don't eat bear meat is, I'm going to tell you now. When you skin a bear, after it's been killed, and you skin it, if you chopped off the head, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a human body and a bear body, a bear carcass. And this is the reason why. According to old story, now this is growing up. Like I say, I was very fortunate to grow up with people around people who did not speak any Jaganash, English. And I'm very fortunate to be able to learn from those people these stories that I heard. And I'm very fortunate that I actually heard them in the original language. Right now I'm going to tell it to you in English because I know you guys, you don't speak Mishnave, unfortunately. Any of you even try? I know I heard somebody say Mishnikah somewhere over here. Like that's trying to learn. But anyway, the story goes like this. When I was growing up, and I'll tell you a little amusing little story. This just happened to us the other day. Me and my partner, Carol, we took her grandchildren out to the beach in South Bay. Her grandchildren and her three older grandchildren, the teenagers, they stayed back at the house. So me and Carol took these two little ones, 6 and 7 years old. We took them down to the lake in South Bay, and they were playing in the sand and by the water, and I looked up, and just standing about from here to where that TV set is, there was a black bear. He stood about this high. He's still a cub, but big enough. And I looked at my partner and I said, Carol, Nishkewa, look at that. And there was this black bear standing, like I say, about 20 feet from us. So she ushered the kids into the car, and she told the kids, look out the back window, there's a bear back there. And for about all the time we were there, that bear never moved. He stuck his nose up and was sniffing the air. But and he didn't move, he just stayed in that one spot. And I think it's still a cub, about a year old. And so we figured we better get out of here because if the cub is around, the mama bear can't be too far behind. And the mama bear would probably try and attack us because we're around this cub. So that was this week. This happened actually Wednesday evening. And then another one is at my house I got a local bear, which, whoops, it's in that. I'll show it to you afterwards. And he likes to come and raid our apple tree. And so one morning, Carol wakes me up about 5 o'clock in the morning and said, "Stephen, coaching." And sure enough, I looked at the apple tree. There's the bear on his hind legs grabbing apples and chowing down. And Carol jokingly said, leave us some apples, okay? She was talking to because growing up, this is part of the story. Growing up, I was told as a boy, don't be too scared of the bear. Talk to it, speak to it in Anishinaabe. It has to always be in Anishinaabe. You talk to the bear. And as I said earlier, my neighbors were a half a mile down the road. When I go to their house to be with my friends, I'd walk half a mile that way. Or they'd walk half a mile to my house. Because my house, behind my house is the lake. So another 20-minute walk, we get to a lake. But growing up, I used to walk to my neighbors to go be with my friends. And wouldn't you know it, I'd cross a bear. Right halfway between my house and their house. And again I'd stop, he'd stop, and we'd look at each other. And it's amazing, I actually remember this. I'd stop and look at him, he'd look at me, and I would say, "Gary, what about men mishke? What do you get in the Canada? What do you get in the Canada? Nishan gay you on the side and get in the Canada. Gary, what about mishke? Don't bother me. I'm just going over there, you go your way, I'll go my way." And we continue on our journeys. And amazingly, that actually helped. Because after we spoke to each other, as I said, we spoke to each other, he went on his way, I went on my way. Now the reason why that is there was a time when the bear I was always told to address him by Mishomis. And I don't know how many of you have ever been in the lodge, the Medewan Lodge or a Sweat Lodge. Anybody been in there? Anybody? In the Sweat Lodge or the Medewan Lodge, they always address the bear as Mishomis. Now there was a time when Mishomis was actually a man. He walked on this earth, he did the same things as any Anishinaabe man would do. Hunt, fished, and stayed out in the rain and stayed comfortable. So there was this village a long time ago. And there was this other man from this other community, other village. And he was a cruel man. And he was determined to wipe out the members of this other community. And so one day, there was this man walking along the edge of the forest, and all of a sudden, from among this forest, out came a man. And of course, he did what you would do when you greet anybody. What do you do?
Say hi.
Yeah.
Ani.
Nadash. Yeah. So this man saw this other man. He was an elderly gentleman, and he said, "Aha, bonjour. Is the cousin?" And he said, no, she's cousin Mishomis. She's called me Mishomis. It's good to meet you. And of course, the normal question is, Abish bin Jabain. Know what that means?
Now
Where did you come from?
Um.
Abish bin Jabain.
we come.
Yeah, that's right. Good answer. Abish bin Jabain. And all he said was, oh, verstoorde. That's all he said. Verstoorde. Abi de şey zijn. Man pinky bizarskavo. I was sent here. Man pinky bizarskavo. We were, yeah. Oh, they said, Bizan, BG Shin. Come and meet my family, my relatives. The Rendalen, come and meet them. Bizan. So he took him to the village, to his family, and introduced him to everybody there. And they all said, Honey, bonjour, everybody went around greeting him. And again, they asked, what should we call you? Mishomis, just call me Mishomis. And so he stayed with this people for a long time. And, he did ask, can I stay with you people for a while? I need some place to rest and get my spirits back up. And they all said, no, we don't miss down. Join us in our food, join us in our celebration, join us for food. And so he stayed. And he stayed for quite a long time. And then, after being there for many months, enjoying the people's company, telling stories, and just being around the company of people, there was a young man they brought to the village, and Mishomis, remember Mishomis is he's the bear. He's sitting there and he's looking at this man, and he says, where did this skinny looking man come from? And they looked at him. One of the leaders or whoever it was said, oh, na sama he's going to enter a race. Who is he going to challenge? And then they started talking. There's this man from the other village who is always trying to bring harm to us. He's never kind to us. He's always mean. Every year he challenges one of our community members to a race. And he's a very cruel man. He's trying to wipe us out as Nishnabek here in our community. And that's his goal. And he won't be happy until he kills all of us. So every year we have to put up a man to race this man. And then he looks at that skinny looking, emaciated looking little man, nothing but skin and bones left on him. And then Mishomis says, why are you starving this man? He's going to enter a competition. You should be feeding him, getting him ready. He has to, and they said, he has to fast before he joins the competition. And the old man said, I would not have the stone, that's going to be of no use. Take him back. Take him away. And a couple of days later, he says, I will challenge this man that you're so afraid of. And you know what? They all laughed at him. there's this old man coming into their village, and he's going to challenge this other much younger man from the other village. And they all laughed at him. And they said, "Oh, you can I, Dick. King's she get out. Oh, now you must say you walk with a king." Like this one. It was just a temporary thing, but I still need it. And he said, "Oh, you can I, Dick. King's she get out. I'll actually have to see. You wouldn't be able to run that far. You wouldn't be able to challenge that young man. I'll actually have to see your man in, but." And they all laughed at him. But he said, "Alright. Ngap kino ako ng bonin na. Ngamanin maro. Ngap kino agero. Oh, ni shwe. Ah, nein, shkeke. I got medicine that'll help me run fast. I'll become young and agile again with this medicine." So he gets ready for this competition that he's going to go into, and they're all still wondering, how is this silly old man going to beat this young man in a race? And sure enough, in a while, a couple of months later, or a month later, this big, strong, husky, agile young man shows up in the village. Very healthy looking man, strongly built, very flexible, young. And he comes to their village and he says, "Okay, Apishwo Amanenmit, who is going to challenge me?" And he's expecting some young man to come out. And out comes Mishomis from his resting place. And Mishomis comes out to the resting place and he confronts this young man. Big, strong, husky young man, very agile, very young. And he looks to the man and he says, "Min sagonango kamanen min. I am going to be the one that will challenge you. And I am going to beat you." And the young man, the big, hurly young man says, "Oh, niganai digas revak. Could occasion you shigi, oh, now he custody must say, you can barely walk, you old man. How do you think you're going to beat me in a race?" He says, "Okay, go sit down, you're not my I have medicine that'll help me." Of course, the young man just laughs at him again. And he says, "Oh, niganai digas revak. You don't know what you're talking about, old man. Yeah, you're outside Chicana, you're getting senile." So they prepare for the race. He gets ready. The young man gets ready. He's exercising. He's getting all puffed up for his race. The old Mishomis man, he sits there. He does a little ceremony. He's smudging himself and he's eating. And he just not even getting ready for his race. He's being himself, basically, not preparing for his race. And so the day of the race comes, and they stand at the starting line, both of them. Crippled old man, hunched over like this. The young man, all limber and ready to go. And somebody says, "Now, Magic Duck. Okay, go." And of course, the young man's leaving way behind back there. And the old man just barely leaving the starting line. And he's walking along and he looks, the young man looks back. He's going to end up so the old man will never beat me. Look how far behind he is. But as soon as he rounded the curve, the old man started to run a bit faster. And he's running a bit faster. And then he catches up to the young man. Young man's really surprised. Wow, where did this old man get his energy? And he says, but sooner, within a while, the old man starts to slow down again. Can barely, again, getting really slow, and he's getting to be a crippled up old man again. And again, the young man just laughs and he says, "Neshkesa ka na kaisi kapkinon ko nanga, gini ewo consinti jita." And he rounds the corner again, and the old man starts to pick up strength. He picks up his medicine, because what he did was he left his medicine at certain places along the running, along the trail, and he knew where these places were. So he picked up his medicine and he chewed on it, and of course it gave him energy again. And there he is, running as fast as that young man. He's even beating him. And the young man's really surprised. And he's, "Taha, he's almost crazy." Boy, this old man runs pretty fast for an old man. I wonder where he gets his energy. But of course, the medicine wears off again and starts becoming a slow old man again, not even barely able to run. So he leaves him way behind again. And they're almost getting close to the finish line. And this young man is very confident he's going to beat this old man. And he'll become victorious again. He'll get a chance to do some harm to the community again, like take one of the men's lives. Because that was the penalty for losing the race. You paid with your life. So he's laughing away there, he's leaving the old man behind. And finally, there's one more place he stashed his medicine, and he starts to chew on it, and he starts running again as fast. And this time it's good medicine. And he catches up to the young man. And the young man looks, boy, this old man can run fast. But he's not slowing down, because what he was expecting to happen. This young man is not slowing down. Old man is not slowing down. He's running faster. And the young man's really surprised. What is this old man using to beat me? And he starts to go faster himself, but he can't catch up to this old man who he's been making fun of all this time. And he's making fun of him, and he can't catch up to him. Finally, from about here to the lake, they see the finish line. He's outside the lake, and it's almost time. And the young man's running as fast as he can, but he just can't catch up to that old man. And finally, the old man crosses the line, and he's the winner. And the people of the village all come up to him. This old man beat that young man at his own game. He challenged him and he beat him. Left him a mile behind, Kiluk. And they're all happy, they're all celebrating. And they all bring this old man, they're all hugging him and they were really happy to have this old man there with them, the Mishomis. And then after they celebrate, they said to the old man, to the Mishomis, "Ambe, wisnida, keep kinage, kawisneme. Come on, let's feast and we'll eat. We'll take care of your opponent later. You'll take care of that, the one that you beat." So they all had their feast and they're all celebrating and everybody's having a good time. And then they're all having a good time feasting. And then afterwards the old man says, "Naha, ki tami wisni, yung nade naman. Nasa mi abdegin na chira nang mo gapkinwak. Ga rajagusak. Then we must fix that man who I was victorious over, Rajagusak." So he went over to that old man, the young man. I'm getting my story confused. And he looked at that young man, And first he lectured him. He says to that young man, Panego kibega da rakonda ni jansa no shank nishnabek kibega da rakonda. You go paneman pibis I need to basic one then no shank vinsado. Kadashiabe kashich siva. Ever since you've been coming to my community, you've been harming my grandchildren. And you are deliberately trying to get rid of all of them so that there will be no more of my grandchildren left. But today I will fix you. So after he gives him that lecture about Ejegadarat Mava Yene Nishnave. Ejegadarat Mava Yene Nishnave.
Hey guys.
Oh, and where was I? After he lectured him on his cruelty to the Nishnabek, and he especially called those children, those people in the village, his grandchildren. He told him right, he told that young man right off, today you will pay for the cruelty you have done to my people, my grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
So he took a very sharp knife. He made the young man lean on a stump of some kind and down with the knife. And he cut a slice off, beheaded him. His head just rolled off his shoulders and he was dead. And he picked up the head and he said, no, this man will never inflict any harm on you people, the Nishnabek. This is him.
That was the young man who
he beat in the race.
beat in the race?
Yeah. That's the man who was always cruel to his people. He was always cruel to the Nishnabek. He was a man from another community. And so they buried him in the woods there, and they
Put his head back.
Huh?
Put his head with his body.
Yeah, they buried him whole. Okay, they didn't scatter his body or anything. They just buried him the way he died. So the old man, after this incident, after this happened, Mishomis still stayed with the people for another couple of months, maybe another couple of years, who knows. But he stayed, he did a lot of talking, he did a lot of teaching while he was there. He taught his people, these Nishnabek, how to live, how to look after themselves. Just like Allison was teaching about, what do you call it, wellness?
Mm-hmm.
Getting your wellness, or?
Growing.
Oh, growing your wellness. So he taught the people how to live well and be comfortable with their surroundings and how to treat each other. So there came a time when the old man said, one day he was sitting around the circle and he said, Taha. He was looking up in the sky and up in the clouds and he says, Taha. It was almost time for me to leave and go back to where I came from. And young people said, people said, "Yeah, go stay on Mishomis. Don't do that, Mishomis. We love you. We like you here. We'll make you comfortable for the rest of your life." But the old man just kept saying, there's things I have to keep doing, there's things I need to do, and I have to go back. And the people were all sad, they didn't want him to leave. But he just said, this must happen, I have to leave. So one day he just gathered up a little bit he had, and he started walking, and the men and the people in the village just kept watching him. And they're all sad to see him go, and he's walking into the forest. And they kept yelling, Scotty, Mishomis, don't leave us. And he just kept turning around. He kept waving. Someday again. And what happened was, as he was going further and further away, and closer into the bush, these people in the village started to see his form change. He was no longer that that old man. His body was starting to change a little bit.
Shape shifting.
And then they're all saying, and then he started to get down on all fours. And I said, why is I with Mishomis? But he's got on all fours.
Mm-hmm.
And the people in the village, they could recognize him, and they said, don't leave us. But finally, when he got on all fours, he just turned around. I can't get on all fours, but he turned around and he looked back at the people, and he just waved, and he kept going in the forest, and he was eventually a bear as he kept going into the forest. And that's how, anyway, the way I was brought up is don't ever eat a bear, because he is once a man.
Oh.
And if you ever, how many, I doubt any of you have ever heard of bear cub?
Sounds like a child, eh?
Yeah, he sounds like a human baby.
Yeah, when they're small.
Even when a big bear is crying, he does sound like a human baby. I mean a human, a full-grown human.
Mm-hmm.
And when you listen to a bear cub, sounds like a baby, a human baby. And I'll tell you the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I went to the Royal Ontario Museum of Toronto, and I spent some time in there in that museum. And in this one display, there were two glass cases about this high, and each with a skeleton. One was a full-grown human skeleton, one was a full-grown bear skeleton, and they were side by side.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that display's still there. I haven't been back there in years. But if you took off the skulls of those two skeletons, you wouldn't be able to tell which one's the human and which one's the bear.
Oh, they resembled
They resemble
each
the two skeletons. If you took up the skulls of those two skeletons, you wouldn't be able to tell which one's a bear, which one's a human.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, in how I grew up anyway, that's why you don't eat a bear, because he was once a man just like the rest of us.
He's like your brother.
He was like your brother. And the medicine, the bear looks after medicine. In our beliefs, in our systems, the bear looks after the medicine. You wonder why the bear's always digging up things, and he's always digging for medicine. And he'll show you where the medicines are, if you ask him, if you get him to lead you. But he's the keeper of the medicines. Ask any Mishnah that still believes he is looking after the medicines, he will show you. He's the keeper of that. So that's my story of the bear. And it just brought, when Allison mentioned the bear, that's the first story that popped into my head, was the story of the bear. And how he is to our Anishinaabe people. He's a great animal.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Interesting.
And to this day, now what happened to us on Wednesday was just an accident. Normally a bear will stay out of our way.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't like coming. Now, before he left the community that he was at, he did say something. He did say this. Being kaigo gudaf jin gan sinonen, pichin gong gabaya gabanda kenminen, kashi wakuab misi, kaiway kuab misi, kanda kenminen si gong gabaya, nayway shunading gabaya. And that's the message he gave to those people in the village. He says, don't worry, I've not abandoned you. I'll be back from time to time. I'll be up there. I'll even spy on you from between the trees occasionally, just to check up on you, make sure you're doing well. Make sure you're doing well and make sure you're looking
How
after
old is that, Sean?
make sure you're looking after yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But don't expect me to come into the village and look for you. I'll be in the forest and I'll be peeking up behind the trees looking at you,
Mm-hmm.
making sure you look after yourselves, make sure you look after each other, and make sure you're staying the way I taught you. And so that's why, like what happened Wednesday to us, that was just kind of an
Yeah.
accident. It
Yeah.
just, he just happened to be standing there and right outside the trees and about 20 feet away from us. I didn't even see him come out of the bush.
Oh.
It's just like he was there all of a sudden, and he just appeared there all of a sudden. That's what it seemed like. But he didn't, like, are you afraid of a bear? Gimlish.
I just get startled when I first see it.
Yeah, well, that's the way all of us behave. We get startled. But most people, they get scared of a bear, they'll scream around, and all this stuff. And
You just look at it or you make noise so you let them know that you're there.
yeah, more and more of the time you're agitating the bear, and that's why it attacks.
Mm-hmm.
You're agitating the bear, but you just talk quietly to it and make sure you don't startle it or anything. And the other thing is, providing it's not a mother bear looking after her cubs, because a mother bear will attack if its cubs are in danger. But most of the time they won't even bother you. So that's the story of the bear, and that's why you call the bear Mishomis. And that's why the bear is so powerful in
Oh, yeah, I like that story.
our legends, in our stories. He's a very big fellow in our stories. So that's the story of the bear.
Originally from the race.
Yes. So that's one story I heard growing up.
Yeah,
You know, it sounds a lot nicer in Anishinaabe, though.
yeah, yeah.
I translate to English the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's some Anishinaabe thrown in. But that's the bear,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it's for, and that's his purpose. And he does come out in the forest every once in a while, and he'll do the best he can to stay away from humans. But the way Wiki's growing, the way our people are scattered around,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes he'll just accidentally walk into a group of people.
There's nowhere for them to go.
Yeah,
Right?
there's nowhere for them to
Cutting
go
down all
actually.
the trees.
Yeah,
Going.
so that's the story of the bear. There's other stories. Some are shorter, some are longer, but that's the one that I like the most.
Yeah, that will stick in your mind
Yeah,
if you hear it from start to finish.
yeah.
Right? Interesting.
And nobody even asked me any questions.
Yeah.